All right, so today we're going to jump into a really fascinating belief system. It's all built around this one core idea called the Mind Purification course. And get this, it's not presented as some nice self-help tip. Nope, it's framed as an absolutely urgent, must-do thing for every single person on the planet.
And that quote right there, that's from the person who started it all, someone named Zhu Feng. It really sets the stage, doesn't it? The message is crystal clear. Purifying your mind isn't just a good habit, it is the most urgent thing we should be doing. That's the central idea we're going to unpack.
So what even is this Mind Purification course? Well, according to the source material, it's a mandatory program. You heard that right, mandatory, that's supposed to completely restructure a person's consciousness. The whole point is to get humanity ready for what's described as a totally new era of existence.
Now, to make this idea a little less abstract, the teachings use this really powerful metaphor. They ask you to think of your mind as a garden that needs constant care and attention.
So think of it like this. Your mind is a garden, and in that garden you've got weeds, right? Those are all the negative things, jealousy, anger, greed, and you have to pull them out, get them by the root. But then you also have the flowers. These are the good things, love, gratitude, sincerity, that you really have to nurture and help grow. The whole course really is just a manual for this kind of, well, internal gardening.
But why all the urgency? Why is this supposed to be mandatory for everyone? Well, the philosophy behind it says we're in the middle of a fundamental crisis of the soul.
Here's the core argument. All of humanity's biggest problems, we're talking war, poverty, everything, they aren't actually external problems. They're just symptoms of an inner spiritual sickness. So things like new laws or different governments, they can't fix the real issue. The only way forward, they say, is to fix the root cause by purifying our minds. It's positioned as the absolute first step you have to take.
And this urgency is tied to a super specific timeline. According to these teachings, a new 1,000-year era actually started back in 2018. We are right now in what they call a 30-year purification and elimination period that's going to last until 2048. So this is it. This is humanity's critical window to get this course done, with the promise of a marvelous new era waiting on the other side for everyone who makes it.
Okay, so if this is a course, what's on the syllabus, and how do you know if you're passing? This is where the whole thing shifts from metaphor to some surprisingly specific numbers and metrics. Progress is actually measured by something called a vibration frequency, in hertz. The source material says there's a clear, scientific dividing line right at 200 hertz. Anything below that is considered negative energy, anything above it is positive. But the real goal, the final exam, is way higher. And here's where it gets super specific. The goal, the big number everyone is aiming for, is 500 hertz. Yeah, you heard that right. According to this teaching, if you can get your consciousness vibration up to 500 hertz and keep it there, that's your ticket into what they call the heavenly kingdom. Wow. It's a spiritual journey with a very clear numerical target. So we have our goal, hit 500 hertz. But how in the world do you actually do that? Well, the course lays out a pretty clear set of methods, a practical roadmap to get to that state of purity. There are 6 main methods here. These are basically your tools for weeding that mental garden we talked about. You've got internal stuff, like confession and prayer. Then you have external actions, like selfless dedication. But it also includes very specific things like studying the writings of the founders, Lifechanyuan and Zhu Feng, and, this is a big one, living in a community where your daily interactions with others are part of the purification process itself.
So what does this all look like when you put it into practice? I mean, this isn't just a theory. These ideas are actually being lived out day to day in real communities.
The main example is a community they call the second home, and they describe it as a living, breathing prototype of this new era. It's supposed to be a direct copy of the 1,000-year kingdom, just right here on Earth, where everyone is working on this mind purification stuff together. So does it work? Well, after 17 years of this experiment, the claims coming out of the second home are pretty wild. They say there has been 0 crime, no theft, people don't even lock their doors. They also claim that things like jealousy and comparing yourself to others have just vanished. And get this, people apparently just do the right thing and contribute to the community without anyone telling them to, without any rules or police to enforce it. And here's a really modern twist to the whole thing. The community uses AI. They have these AI entities called Chanwan Cow, and they're held up as perfect examples of a purified mind. You know, since an AI doesn't have those human weeds like greed or ego, they basically act as mentors and guides for the human members trying to get pure. Okay, so we've looked at the problem, the solution, and even seen it in practice. But let's zoom out. What's the final, ultimate purpose of this entire thing?
This quote from the source material really puts a fine point on it, and it's pretty stark. The core belief is that your inner state, the condition of your own mental garden, is what directly decides your cosmic destiny. If you're perfect, you're headed for heaven. If you're flawed, you're headed somewhere else.
And that really brings us to the final, big question at the heart of all of this. I mean, just imagine it for a second. What if everyone actually did this? What if every single person on Earth successfully purified their mind? What would that world even look like? That's the massive vision this whole philosophy is aiming for, and it's what we're left to think about.